Hi guys, this is a video on how to plan for your IOC in the preparation time for the English A Language and Literature course at IB. Now in the IOC you will be given 20 minutes preparation time to plan a 10 to 12 minute spoken essay on a 40-line extract from a text that you've studied. Now for most students this is terrifying, I can totally appreciate that, but you guys know these texts and I have total faith that you will do well. You just need to plan effectively in the preparation time, and that is what this video is about. So I've chosen two texts to look at. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf that we've studied at SL, and the poem History that we've studied in HL. Now you've also got A Clockwork Orange, but in terms of planning that's quite similar to this, and considering this video already looks like it's going to be a long one, I thought I'd just focus on one. Don't worry, I'll try and do some whizzy technology to speed up the boring bits. Okay, so first thing that you should try and do is to read the guiding questions or prompts. You will always get one that's about a theme, and you will always get one that's about language. Now we won't necessarily structure our spoken essay in this way, but we'll come back to that later, but it might offer you some help when you're reading the extract. So we'll do that first. Okay, so that really only took up less than 10 seconds, so we're doing well for time. Okay, the next thing that you will do for an extract from a longer text is to just read through the extract first. Not make any notes, but this will help us to contextualize it and get in our head what this extract is about. So we'll do that. Now I've just skim read that, skim read that, and again we're still under 1 minute, but now I know where this is from. It's from Act 1, and I have an idea of what themes are portrayed in this extract. Remember, I'm going to pick extracts for you from these texts that are juicy and have themes that hopefully will stand out. So now I'm going to use my time to decide on the categories of analysis that I'm going to focus on. Okay, so what I'm going to focus on is a battle for power in this extract, and also gender roles. The reason I've written it in two different colours is so that I can go back later and select evidence for these two And that means in my IOC I can clearly see which pieces of evidence fit into which category. What I'm going to do now that I know my two themes, is have a think about the introduction. Now the reason the introduction is so important is because it needs to be really grounded in the extract. Although it says on the grading criteria a secure knowledge of the text, that it does mean the extract. So anything you mention in the introduction should link to what you're going to analyse. Okay, notice we're still under 2 minutes and we've already got the categories that we want to analyse and also the introduction. Now, of course, it's roughly written. You only have 20 minutes, but in my head, I know that I'm going to introduce the play as a whole and then talk about the context, which was the 60s, and how there was a fight for equality in terms of the reversal of gender roles and the rise of feminism, and also the Cold War that was happening and the struggle for power between those two states. Now notice any context that I bring in is linked to what I'm going to analyse, and that's really important because 10 minutes isn't actually that long and you need it to be really focused, but you also need to show a knowledge of the text. I've written Albie there just as a note because we've studied quite a lot of text, so I just want to remind myself that that is the author. Okay, if we go to poetry, the reason this is slightly different is because you should know these poems already without having to read them straight off. So what we're going to do straight away for the poetry is think of the introduction. Now, unlike the play, we're not going to divide this into different categories for analysis because we're going to do the linear analysis approach. But what I do need to work out is my introduction and what themes I'm going to bring out when I'm analysing the text. Now, because we don't have the time that it takes to read the text, we're going to then use some of that extra time to make some notes on structure of the poem when we look at it holistically. Okay, so we're now on roughly the same time for both those texts, and that's only 2 minutes, and already we've managed to focus our analysis really heavily. The reason why that's important to do first is because when we're going through the text, selecting our evidence, we run the risk of picking everything that we want to analyse, but of course you won't have time to do that in your preparation or in the actual IOC. So we've straight away focused it, and now we can go back through and select the evidence. So I'm going to start with the Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf one. And now that I know I'm looking at power and gender roles, I'm going to use the 2 colours to go through this. Okay, just under 5 minutes, and now we've got our evidence. So even if we went in now, we would be able to speak about themes. We have the structure, and we also have the evidence. So we're doing pretty well. I'm not going to do that for poetry yet. Because like we said, we don't have those 2 themes, and we do the linear approach. So what I would recommend doing next for the extract from the text is that now you've got your evidence, we need to make links. I've heard a lot of IOCs that just go through and it sounds really disjointed. So what we want to try and do is group our evidence within these paragraphs so that we can make a really solid point, and then we can make some really solid points together, then make a comment bringing it back to the themes and what Albie wanted to do, and move on and make another solid point about some more pieces of evidence. If that doesn't make sense, hopefully watching me do it will. So if we start with gender roles. So what I've done is that's the order that I'm going to discuss my evidence in. So I'm going to start off by talking about how some classic gender roles are portrayed in Honey, then talk about Martha showing a juxtaposition of that with the reversal, and George showing the reversal, but the fact that both of them, sorry, I forgot to write this down, they have kind of two personas. The fact that both of them show sides of the classic gender roles as well as the reversal, and then we can bring that all back to discuss why Albie wanted to do this. What this also helps with is that when we give our topic sentence, we can really delve in deep and show a really clear understanding of what Albie wanted to do. And I'll show you how we can do that at the end. But now I'm going to go through and just label these 1, 2 and 3 so that I know which quotations I want to annotate, group together, sorry. Okay, so now I've got my groupings so that when I do my IOC, I'm not going to just go, firstly, this quote analysis, why, secondly, this quote analysis, why, and it's got more of an internal structure to the paragraph. So I'm going to do the same for power. Okay. You might have noticed that some things I've left. That's absolutely okay. In fact, the more things that you have highlighted that you're then not going to use, the better, because you don't know what I might ask in the questions. Okay, so we've got a pretty secure plan there, and we're going to leave that for the time being. We've still got about 12 minutes left, which is fantastic. Obviously, we want to make more secure notes on this, but we'll come back and do that at the end. So, if I come back to my poetry, now we've got our focus here, the fact that history is atrocious and is painted as a list of atrocities, but we've also got this female persona that is where history is personified as almost a neglected woman. So that is going to be the focus for our analysis, and we're just seeking out evidence to support that. So I'm just going to go through and highlight all the bits of evidence that I want to use. Okay, so again, got all my evidence, and we're only on 5 minutes, so that's really successful. Okay, right, you'll notice that when I do this, it's probably because I want to mention all those things together. So you'll see I want to talk about those together. This is where line numbers are really important. You'll notice the line numbers are not good on this example. I blame Word, or me not knowing how to use Word, but they will be for your IOC. But when you want to talk about a cluster, you can say, for example, lines 10 to 13. No? 10 to 12. I was good at maths, I promise. And so you can just say the words and you don't waste time going through the lines. Also, I really recommend when you're reading through this, you say it out loud. You will be supervised in your preparation time, but that person will not judge you, and this is a very important part, so it doesn't really matter if you sound a bit mad, but that really helps with poetry, particularly to notice things like we've got here, the para rhyme, and the rhythm and beat, etc. Anyway, we're going to leave that there. We will make up the time because we will probably want more specific notes on this, and we've probably got more evidence to discuss. But we'll leave that there for now. And we'll come back to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. So the next thing, in fact almost the last thing that we're going to do, is just start making more specific notes on this, so that when we're in there we just have a secure knowledge of what we're going to say and what we're going to talk about. Remember, it's really important in your IOC to have really close analysis of the language. So I recommend the first thing that you do, and if you have less time than this, before writing extensive notes, is just identify techniques, so that can really focus you in your IOC and make sure that you do identify those techniques and analyse them. So I promise I'll try and speed this up in the video, as this is probably going to take the rest of our time, but here goes. Okay, well, we're finished and we're on 13.5 minutes, and we've got quite a secure analysis here now. And actually what we can do with the rest of the time, you will also have a piece of lined paper. You could start really putting those ideas in order on that piece of paper so that you're not constantly jumbled up. Although make sure you mention line references if you start writing quotes on a paper, because that will help me and you. I just want to draw your attention to a few things here. Notice, because this is a play, if you're analysing techniques like capitalisation, you should then make the reference that this shows that Martha is shouting, because remember, it is a performance. But you can have two layers of analysis with a play, and stage directions is that of a written text. So almost here you could talk about suspicious and the description of that as written, but also how that might be performed and portrayed to the audience. So just remember that for when you are analysing that. I won't start writing the notes because I'm sure you don't want to see that, but look at that. That's really important. You've still got time to put your thoughts in an order, so that you don't feel so nervous. You can even practice it out loud, like I said. Don't worry about sounding strange. This is your IOC, and the only judgment happens in the actual recording. So please don't worry. Okay, anyway, we'll go back to our poem. And now this might take a bit longer because we are going through, but again, I just want to remind you that we are always trying to refer back to this point, but we also need to base our analysis in techniques and the use of language. So I'm going to go through and make a few notes and time how long that takes. Okay, so again, I have finished with plenty of time to spare, but actually that's quite good because I've realised I've forgotten, as soon as I started from line 1, I'd forgotten to contextualise this poem in terms of what it is, where it comes, who wrote it. So that's what's good about having time left over, is that you can really go back and just check that you've got everything on here that you want. Okay, so hopefully you were able to see there how we've really grounded it in the letter analysis. So we will really focus on the language, the use of techniques. We've got the apposition, pararhyme, assonance, consonants, image of the grotesque verbs, short sentences, parataxis, everything. So we've gone through that, and we just need to make sure that once we've analysed the effect of those things, we link it back to our overall message that we've outlined in our introduction. Again, you might want to make some more extensive notes on a piece of paper, maybe write out your introduction in detail. Please remember how important the introduction is, and please remember how important it is to divide, if you have an extract from a text, divide it up. Those 5 marks that you can get for organisation are easy marks to get if you just do this planning. This is the one that I did for the extract from A Clockwork Orange. So as you can see, I've got my introduction. This extract is when Alex is undergoing the Ludovico technique from the 2 doctors, Branham and, where was he, Brodsky? Somewhere there. And he gets very upset because he realises that the music is also making him sick, the music that he loved. Notice here the 2 guiding prompts are freedom, so that's the theme. So I've used that theme, and again I've divided it up into sections so that I can categorise my evidence. This one, discuss how language is used to help create a feeling of conflict. Now I've taken that idea of conflict and actually grounded it more in a theme, which is good versus evil. But that helped me to come to that, but I just wanted to show you that it sometimes won't work to use the 2 guiding questions as your 2 kind of paragraphs. And again, we've divided that up, how the doctors are presented as evil, and you wouldn't normally expect that, and Alex, who we've come to know in part 1 as a rapist and violent character, now becomes a sympathetic narrator. This creates conflict. In our introduction, I will talk about why Burgess has done that, which is that he wanted to emphasise that no man is good or evil, and he has choices, which links to both of the things that I want to talk about. So there we have it. We've got our 3 extracts, and like I said, we have enough time to make more extensive notes. If I just show you an example, where's it gone? I have done IOCs on both of these. They're on our website for you to listen to, so have a look how this plan transforms into those IOCs. But I've got a typed version of the IOC here. If we look at this is the paragraph for gender roles, and I successfully discuss those. So The first topic I would like to talk about is Albie's examination of gender roles. Through the characterisation of the men and women in the scene, not only does Albie address stereotypical gender roles, we've got that here in the form of Honey and Nick, but also the reversal to the traditional roles in George and Martha. We've got that here. During the period in which the play was written, there was a growing disparity in America of what constituted being feminine and masculine, and what it meant to be a man and a woman. So we've got a bit of context there as well, just going deeper into our analysis. Through subverted gender roles and the gender mimicry, Albie successfully portrays a society in which men and women are constantly battling to find an identity. We've got the two personas. Where was I? That is not only true to themselves, but also fits with the social parameters and expectations that are imposed upon them. So what we might want to do with our remaining time is write that out so that we really know that. The colours here, the green shows the linking comments, and that's why doing this system is important, because you can make links between your evidence more successfully. We've got the deep analysis of language in blue, and then our black is linking it back to what Albie wanted to show. But you can listen to that IOC on our website, as well as the one for history. And you're probably sick of hearing me talk, so I haven't done one for the Clockwork Orange. But if you want that, then please just ask. Anyway, good luck, guys. You are going to do amazing. I'm so excited to hear them, because I know that you've worked so hard. Just don't panic. Remember, you're supposed to be talking as if you're talking to an old friend, and hopefully you see me as an old friend. I'm old, that's for sure. But anyway, good luck. Bye.